So do you know the Hear More Christmas Songs Silent Night, right?
Of course.
References the baby Jeebus
Sure.
as being tender and mild. Is he food?
I hate you. I knew the second you said tender mile, you motherfucker. Okay.
The first thing that, honestly, like the first thing that, and I might get some people mad here, because the first thing that tender and mild makes me think of is Raising Cane's chicken. Because it is cooked beautifully.
Oh, sure.
And
no,
it is
it's
so soft and succulent and tender, but it is bland.
I can tell you have relations and or people close to you a little further south than we're located, don't you?
Honestly, but this is it. Like, my wife actually really loves Raising Cane's, and she's from the South, and I'm like, you should know better than this. We are House of Bojangles.
That's another dude. Their sandwiches are nothing to fuck with. I agree.
Excellent.
Yes, post hangover too. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so you heard it. The baby Jeebus was Texan fried chicken.
Tender and mild. KFC's best. You bastard.
No, KFC's the worst though. KFC's awful.
That's true. Popeye up here, Popeyes definitely takes it, in my opinion.
I don't know. Yeah, I've heard some dissenting opinions on Popeyes, but no, like this is the weird one. Is it though? Food standards in Europe are generally better.
Sure.
No, KFC in the UK actually not that bad. Come over here, slop, awful.
Oh, anyway. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh yeah. Anyway, let's roll credits. Hello and welcome once again to the CyberDudes podcast. We are talking about cybersecurity here, not the baby Jeebus and fried chicken the whole time, in case you were misled by that cold open. If you were, I'm not sorry.
You should see a doctor.
It's a little consequence.
Yeah, if that misled you, and not the one on the screen now. Like, go to a real one.
Yeah, I am Robin Thornton. I'm joined by Omar Sangorima. How are you, Omar?
Doing well, man. How about you?
I'm tired. Just tired.
I feel you.
I took a day off and I'm exhausted. I don't know what's happened. So do you know what I otherwise, if I'd not had that listening to Silent Night thing and going, because my wife, she does get a little bit like, how do you do this? I will actually like listen to lyrics of songs. She kind of just like should be off in her own world. She didn't really pay attention to it. She just enjoys it. And I listen to it and I like analyze it. And I'm there like, there's some dumb shit gets said. But if I hadn't opened with how I overly analyze lyrics, there was gonna be. Do you know that whole thing with the Windows operating system naming? How it's all absolutely all over the place.
Oh, it's like OpenAI. Yeah, I think it's weird.
No, well, OpenAI, at least they've gone versions. I mean, they kind of like their first big release sort of thing out was like 3.0 something, but at least they've gone through the versions like 3, 4, now we're in 5.2.
Yes.
Windows was, what was it? 2, normal Windows, 2, 3 dot something. So we went into 95, 98, which those made sense. It was like those were released
in the year.
In said year.
Sure.
But then ended up going 7, 8, 10. And everyone's like, God damn it, what and why? So do you know why there's no Windows 9?
Holocaust.
Okay, not what I was thinking, not the real answer. Hey. So what happens is apparently you get a lot of software does string checks when it's trying to, so it checks what operating system it is on. And so it does these string checks. And if we'd have done Windows 9, or if Microsoft had done Windows 9, it would have ended up clashing with all of this Windows 95, 98 stuff. Anything that had any references in it to 95 and 98 would just then end up breaking, because they'd see Windows 9 and go, it's 95 or 98. I'm going to go do that. Or it would just go like, I don't know quite what to do with that. So apparently that is why Windows 9 was skipped. It was one of those like millennium bug.
That's terrifying.
We ran out of like things that we had coded because we never actually thought this far ahead when we did the thing.
That's awful, but also very Microsoft.
Really that awful though? It's kind of just like you didn't think ahead. And you went, crap. We snow because this was it's sins of the father. This is something that somebody 30, 40 years ago did.
Listen, you're trying to tell me that Bill Gates, with all his agenda for population control, couldn't have thought ahead for the 9 version? I don't buy it, bro.
When you're bringing in all those Benjis, do you really care?
That's a very good
Are
point.
you thinking that far ahead?
Time is
at
meaningless at that level, honestly, right? Because aren't you just going to get another skin suit when the old one, right? We're going to go altered carbon.
So, I loved that.
Me too.
The series. I'm pissed. I'm pissed it got cancelled.
Yeah.
I didn't think Anthony Mackie was as good as
Joel Kinnaman.
Joel Kinnaman, but he was still pretty good.
Yeah.
And then there's also the fact that every single scene that Renee Elise Goldsberry is in, you go, how is that woman 50? Because she don't look a day over 31.
It's Puerto Rican right there.
Oh, is she?
No, I just say that anytime there's somebody.
I thought she was like Dominican or something like that.
Yeah, Caribbean.
Anyway, today we have a festive episode, and it makes sense that we started with the baby Jeebus being tender and mild because we are bringing to you the 12 malwares of Christmas.
You committed.
That made that sound sort of slightly spooky, didn't it? It's like spooky Christmas.
Jacob Marley, right?
Am I Tim Burton?
Hey, he has a distinct taste in aesthetic, so I'd say no. Right? You dress normal.
There was something that I saw. It was like a Jeopardy thing. It was like this offbeat horror musical written or directed by Tim Burton, starring Helena Bonham Carter, and the woman's just there like, you're kidding, right?
Yeah, I saw that because there's what they said, like there's 4 or 3 or 4 that could be. Yeah, so I mean,
what a mean question. All right, so the way that we are going to do this is, and Omar, I've not actually looked you into this yet, because the 12 days of Christmas is like, in terms of the number of gifts you get on what day, it's like a pyramid. It's like a very flat sort of pyramid because you've got like day 6 you get 6 things, so you're on 36, and then day 7 you get a bunch of stuff, and then that's 42. The maximum number of anything that you get is, let me just go scroll to my notes, is 42, and that's days 6 and 7, which should be geese are laying or swans are swimming.
There you go.
Now, what we have done with our 12 malwares of Christmas is we've gone and said, we're going to be kind. The crap you really, really, really don't want is your 12 drummers drumming that you only get once.
That's true.
And your partridge in a pear tree, which you get 12 times, which also is one of those lyric things where I'm going, what is it? On the nth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me, and a partridge in a pear tree. Why is my true love, why is this bitch giving me partridge in a pear tree 12 times? No, I don't need that.
You could open up a conservatory. It's relaxing.
But I don't want the expense. And also, like, it's 4 consecutive days of birds, and then more birds.
I mean,
it's just a lot of birds.
Birdman was a very highly successful rap entrepreneur, right? Gave birth to Lil Wayne.
You are, bear in mind, semi-posh white boy. You've lost, that's gone over my head.
What? Really? Lil Wayne? Like, he didn't make a splash out there? Or, like, was it too much grime and garage?
I do like grime and garage. But no, it was mostly just wasn't really, like, exposed to it.
Makes sense. I get it.
Yeah. Very much a Linkin Park kind of kid.
I see.
That was my era.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Eminem too. Very good. Anyway, so we will start with 12 malwares of Christmas. We're going to start with one of the bigos. It is not Petya.
Goodness.
So this is it. We're giving you this 12 times, but it's the fewest number. It's the fewest times that we can give it to you, and we're giving it to you right up ahead of time so that you can figure out how to deal with it and then keep fixing it each time we give it to you, or at least time your true love gives it to you. But if your true
That's
love's
true.
giving you malware, are they really your true love?
I mean, you should get tested, but go to a clinic. I would say, yo, can you believe
You
it?
get
This
you
trick gave
gave
me malware. Like,
you
oh,
get
bro, you gotta go to Planned Parenthood. Yeah.
you gave me 360 something viruses.
Yeah,
No,
bro.
not that kind, not that kind.
That's I mean, shit's gonna fall off.
So right, not Petya, friggin' yeah, no,
It took
not
a lot
Petya
of
malware.
tankers off.
It did. Okay, so this was a destructive wiper, like masquerading as ransomware. It's largely widely believed that this was a little ploy of the Russian state, because it went and infected the servers of a small Ukrainian accounting software company called Medok, and from there, and like basically this is like kind of TurboTax for the Ukrainians, right? Back in 2017, and I've seen a picture of their like server room from sort of before this happened, and oh my god, what an absolute mess, not secure at all, and quite frankly, just like literally, it's just like blades in racks and just cables all over the place, and it's no surprise they got hacked.
Data center security didn't exist before AWS, bro. Like we just gotta kind of
Not unless you're a bank.
yeah, that's it.
Anyway, so it came into Medoc as like a poison update, and it got spread out to all of Medoc's clients. And because it was a wiper worm, so worms like spread like hell and tore through networks like using stolen credentials. So it would worm through systems, find out where you had stored stuff in notepads and spreadsheets, where you had people like on administrator accounts just doing normal things like web browsing and word processing and stuff like that, which you should absolutely not do. So this whole thing abused like supply chain trust, so the trust that companies have between each other. Your favorite little topic there.
You saw my face light up. I was like, supply. That
I
sounds
know.
like a supply chain attack.
Yeah, really flat internal networks, so you don't have these like separation of responsibilities where like the higher up the privilege kind of chain you go, the more and more stuff needs to be locked down. Maersk, the shipping giant, actually like had this. We've spoken to a guy, it's Gavin, who actually worked there, and he warned about this ahead of time. He's got a really good blog piece. I hope it's still up because it's a fantastic story.
It has to be. Like that's a seminal work of investigative journalism on and security research on this topic.
I would have it as, I'll have to maybe let's see if I can and SHTN search that. Yeah, it's still there. Excellent, because he had cleared it with Maersk after he wrote it. And last I knew, he was actually back with Maersk as well.
Yeah, he left and I think he went to He went to Microsoft. I believe
He went to small consultancy, then he went to Microsoft doing identity access management, and he ended up coming.
Now he's running something at Maersk.
Yeah, I think he runs identity there.
Good man.
But yeah, really, really well clued up guy. But he'd warned about this, and they'd not dealt with it, and it absolutely tore through Maersk. It was a situation where actually they had something like 100,000 like staff or identities, like people's login accounts and like the service accounts, so the things that aren't actually tied to I know like they're not actually tied to a person, but there's somebody responsible and accountable for them, because it's like machines needing to log into other machines to do automated stuff, and all of this stuff, and to rebuild it, because all of their what's called Active Directory that manages all of that stuff globally, it would like sync around, so that they did this because it kept everything like nice and on an even keel, so they didn't have differences. But it also spread this ransomware like wildfire. They had to physically courier the entire company's identity mapping, like security access mapping, on a drive from the office in Ghana, because that one was the only one that was still intact, because they had gone offline. They had a power cut or some connectivity outage when this whole thing happened, and that was the only thing that meant that they didn't have to spend months and months and months on end rebuilding just their identity. I think it would have sunk them as a company, actually, if you pardon the pun, because I don't know how you can operate without
sunk the company for Maersk. Like, bro, you're on one today, and I'm here for it.
But I don't know how you could operate a company of 100,000 like people and machine identities, having to rebuild them on the fly and do all of that shipping because they're like a top 5 shipper in the world. I don't know. I genuinely think they would have gone. What's your take on this? Where's the how do we how's this kind of stuff dealt with? What's your advice for not falling foul of a nasty wiper worm?
All I could think of while you were describing it perfectly, by the way, it was a really good context, is no, dude, for real.
Too kind.
Yeah. It's Christmas, right? Like, no, but it's but shit still happens today.
Oh
Like
yeah.
all of the stages that you just went through where, hey, it's built like this stuff syncs, this is how, all that hygiene that we look back, however many years it's been, right? Like what, 20, 30, like close to 30 now? Like it's getting up there. Still prevalent today, and it could still be part of each of those stages, could still be part of a postmortem on a supply chain attack on whatever type of supplier is ubiquitous in any sort of space. As with many of like the worms and the ransomware, the wipers, the crypto lockers, backups, tested backups, that aspect is crucial because you don't want to be reinstalling dirty backups that are
Oh no.
themselves already, so because then you're just going to
Yeah.
perpetuate it, and I just
Well, that's it. And
it's
you think you're safe, and
oh
you can't.
sure,
You think you're safe. You restore from backup. You say like,
yeah,
"Oh, this is fine because we have
yep.
really good backups." And then you restore from backups, and you go, "Yay, we're back!"
And then
Oh
you
no.
could announce it. I've seen some companies go, yeah, we're up and
Yeah.
running, and then suddenly, like the Twitter response is, no, you're not, and it's just like the blue screen of death. Again, I
Who
believe
did
that
that
happened.
happen to?
That was CrowdStrike. I feel like people were trying, like, because there was a couple of
Yeah.
like false starts of like, hey, we got this sussed out, and then it's like, no, you don't, because of the type of syncing that you were talking about, right? The
Yeah.
things, it's always going to be a continuum between expediency and safety, right? Until you get both sides of that conversation in a room, you lock them in and you go, you can't eat until you figure something out that works for the business as a whole. Then you let them out, and then you still stare at them hard when they walk out of the room, like, be
Hmm.
friends, because this stuff is going to continue to happen. We're going to talk about the 11 others. I'm going to be, I'm, so, please don't like cut off the episode, but I'm going to be telling you the same stuff probably repeatedly for a lot of
And
these because it's basic hygiene.
this is it. This is why. So when we were putting this, or when I was putting this together, like I looked at it, and the kind of things that got suggested, were like it's stuff that you and I will know, will be familiar with. The average kind of listener, a couple of may ring bells. A lot of them won't necessarily. But when you go, but all the big stuff, all the biggest stuff, and there's like 5 instances of ransomware in here, maybe 6. And I was looking at it going like, can I really do that much ransomware? Is that gonna have like, is that gonna get boring? And I kind of convinced myself like, no, we'll be brief about
Sure.
the later ones. But the
Sure.
point is that this stuff it's on the list so many times because A, it works, B, people don't protect against it, and C, it's an advantage for us in this sort of context because we can reiterate
Oh, sure.
to you,
Mm-hmm.
to everyone who's listening, all of the unfortunately slightly mundane, boring things that need to be done in order to protect from it. Now, generally speaking, as an individual, the whole ransomware thing, relatively unlikely to be a victim of it. The damage to you is going to be relatively low, provided that you don't kind of
Mm-hmm.
pay up the ransomware. Because this is the other thing as well. You got to remember with like the scam stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment that you pay, you mark yourself as somebody who
Cash
complies.
cow. Exactly.
A cash cow, we're going to milk you for all you're worth, and you
Mm-hmm.
just get this like over and over and again. So there's a couple of ways to look at this, which is as the individual is, well, you go back up all your this stuff, keep it on a separate external hard drive
Yeah.
whenever you do back that up, so it can't be
Mm-hmm.
infected if your computer is infected.
Mm-hmm.
Really do that for the important stuff and the sentimental things that you would be heartbroken to lose. Then anything else, deal with it as the price of a lesson learned, because that really is, you've got 2 options. You've either got that, pay however much money marked yourself as a cash cow, or you have got, well, I lost some stuff that I'll never be able to recreate or get back or something like that because I didn't have a backup. Silly me, I'm going to learn a lesson going forward.
Yeah. It's happened to me. Like it happened to
You
me.
got ransomware.
Not ransomware, but like a side gig wanted their laptop back. And it locked me out before I was ready, before I had moved, my latest stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
I was also making the mistake of using the side gig laptop as the personal laptop, kind of, not my work. So, had like budgetary stuff on there for the household, right? Like keeping track. But again, stuff you can recreate and not stuff that is going to give things away. But you bet your ass now I got that backed up on a personal cloud drive, right? It's up, it's up in the cloud, making sure. And, it happens to everyone. It can happen to anyone. So it's not, I want to, if you guys, we're going to go over these, but one thing I want to say is like, there's no shame here, right? The shame only helps the attacker. Shame only helps you continue to get scammed and continue to lose your hard-earned dollars. Or as you said, the thing that you triggered with me was right now on my mobile device, my personal mobile device, the thing that would kill me, because everything else I could probably nuke, right? All the apps, all the banking stuff, like you could nuke that remotely. The stuff that would kill me if I didn't have it backed up, which I do, right? It's the pictures of the baby. It's the pictures of the family. It's over. Or pictures, dude, all day.
And that's where I talk about is the sentimental stuff. And that's the kind of thing that I think actually, like, more so than the financials and things like that, I think people can, by and large, usually cope with not getting that back. But it is the photos that you will. It's like losing. It's like before the digital.
Like losing in a fire.
Losing in a house fire. Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're heartbroken and you'll never get it back. And I feel like there's I think there's maybe like an avenue of, there's the avenue of hope is to say like, oh, well, if I just pay this, I'll be able to get it back.
Of course.
And yeah, you might.
Sure.
Otherwise, you might not. Like I remember I met through this Discord group that I'm on. There was a guy who had said, I mentioned that I worked in cybersecurity, and he said like, oh yeah, we got hit with one of those like encryption things. I said, oh, the ransomware. And he's like, yeah, it sucked. And we went paid, said the boss has paid like 80 grand for like the ransom for getting it back. And we got the recovery key and we put it in, it did nothing. I went, yeah, that's what happens. And that's exactly what happened with NotPetya. There was no actual recovery key for NotPetya. The whole point was it was wipe data.
That's why it's a wiper, not strictly
exactly. But looking like ransomware. And this shit had people like diving over desks, like trying to like pulling out power cables before the thing got to it in kind of comical fashion.
Yeah.
But we're gonna move on to.
I'd also like to shout out really quickly, like it's the alleged perpetrators are still up to the same sort of tricks.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll go into the perpetrators in the next episode because I know you want to do APTs. So.
Yeah, baby.
But our second day of Christmas, so they're gonna now give us another ransomware. Our true love. They're giving us another ransomware.
Sounds like my high school.
Bit like it does sound like you need to go to a clinic. Like they're giving us another one,
brother. I'm telling you, man. If 12 of these happen to you, you gotta look in the mirror. That's what I'm saying. All right, the problem is you, my friend.
Oh God, what was there's something I was watching? I think it was a sitcom. Oh, it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's like you got Nigerians scammered like 20 times, and it's some reference to Scully, one of the old useless pair. And they're like, "You got Nigerians scammed like 20 times."
He's just lonely, bro. He's just lonely.
Yeah. So we're on to WannaCry. So this was another ransomware worm spread very, very quickly using something that the CIA had actually developed an exploit called Eternal Blue in the Windows operating system that the CIA had figured out and then not really told anyone. Naughty CIA. You should tell Microsoft about that because then otherwise you're not the only person who can use it. You're definitely not the only person who can find it. And so you're not the only person who can use it.
Pish posh.
This ran absolutely rampant through the NHS, actually, in the UK. It was interesting because the way that the NHS is like managed, it's one great big organization, but individual trusts, individual hospitals. So kind of like there's a bit of a federated model. So they will do updates and patches and things like that in their own IT.
It's like
Uh,
Planned Parenthood in this country, I found out.
okay, so they manage it
So
like
it's
on a
like
regional
one
basis.
kind of, but then each one is its own thing. I found that out when I applied to do cyber for them. Yeah,
Oh, interesting. I wonder whether the mentions of Planned Parenthood would get people like real proper raging in the YouTube shorts. I'm gonna have to see
I
whether
hope
we. I'm
so.
gonna see whether we pick
That's why I
something
threw
that
it
up.
out there, baby. I'm trying, doing my part.
So the upfront answer to WannaCry, as it is with most of this stuff, is you should have released the patch that Windows released or that Microsoft released when they found out what the CIA had found.
Mm.
Because anybody who hadn't done the patch got done by this. This is a really interesting one in that a researcher somewhere like in East Anglia, like Norfolk, kind of area in the UK, was poking around with this whilst the attack was going on and accidentally triggered the kill switch, which ultimately then ended up because then he told the NHS and the NHS spread it all across their stuff and they got all of their systems back perfectly fine.
Was
So
this
it was one
Marcus
of the
Hutchins? I believe it was Marcus Hutchins, and I believe he was
was it?
also. I think he was tried as a terrorist until like 10 seconds ago. Finally sorted that out, and then now he's being
Uh,
lauded as a hero, as he should be.
who
Yeah,
did?
it's my boy. I think it's my boy Marcus.
Oh yeah, it's Marcus Hutchins. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Damn, he's 2 years younger than me.
Hmm.
That's
Oh no, it's very disheartening with how like brilliant he is. And if he's 2 years younger than you, he's like 85 years younger than me, seemingly. But like, but he's a brilliant guy, very affable, very spicy online. I love me some
oh
hot
yeah,
takes.
he throws some takes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, he tried to help people, and the world tried to roll him up like he was, Al Capone for a
Yeah.
minute there, just because of how terribly these types of research and crime and all that is handled.
Well,
But yeah,
wasn't there some of
Marcus,
them thinking that he was the one who actually launched it? Because it was like, yeah,
yeah,
it's suspicious that you found this.
yeah. And it's no, because he's Doogie Howser of this stuff. Like he dedicated to the game. He's one of those like whenever I say I wasn't born with a keyboard in my hand, he was. You know what I mean? Like it's just he's
Yeah.
one of those guys. But he was vilified for a hot minute there. When you started saying that, I was like, I know who this is. Like I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah,
All right. Well, shout out to you, Marcus. Good man for finding
my
this.
guy, my guy.
So this was happened again, similar sort of thing to NotPetya, as
Mm.
is, and interestingly, it was the same year. It was actually just a couple of months before NotPetya. So really, some lessons should have been learned. But basically, like especially with the NHS, there's a continuity of care aspect to it. There's you
Mm.
can't bring the systems down because then
Mm-hmm.
it prevents us from treating people. Banks have the same problem because people kind of want 24-hour banking. So when you get to the large scale organizations, part of the reason something like this actually ends up being able to happen is because there's a disconnect between business people and the technology people. And well, there's a few ways, right? It's either there's a disconnect between the two, or there's a business person who just doesn't care about that
Mm.
because they're doing business things and not seeing the wood for the trees. Or there's tech people who aren't actually taking into enough consideration the needs of the business for keeping systems up. And that's just going to go, like, that's just everywhere. Plus, there's also the
That's
fact
been sorted now, Robin. Right? The
of the
business and
AI.
tech, we all just get along everywhere. I'm only smiling because, again, like I said in the first one, this stuff is still going on and it's still as bad.
Mm-hmm. Lock down your identities. Know what you've got. Do your backups. Um,
Know the why.
do your patching.
Yeah. Know what you've got. Like you said, know the why. Like what are we having to protect? Why are we having to protect it? And then we can help you on the IT side, help you protect it. But if you're not having that conversation, if you're not, again, getting locked in a room and said, y'all can't eat until we
Mm-hmm.
sort this, then you're just, your users, the identities you're entrusted with, if it happens to be medical, like people's lives potentially, if it happens to be banking, people's livelihoods, that's all just, it gets cuffed to the wayside because folks can't get their egos stuffed back into drawers where they belong. Like, come on now.
Definitely, sure.
Yeah.
And as you might have kind of garnered from some stuff that was said a few minutes ago, Omar does do some consulting work, as do I. If you are a small business owner and you are in need of a guide to help you navigate the what do I have, what do I need to do to stay compliant. That's definitely his area. Stay
Okay.
compliant, stay educated, stay safe.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can hit us up in the comments, and we will get back to you on a direct message, or for me at least, you can email info@supersimplecyber.com.
Absolutely.
Which is your email address?
It's
Put the
word of
headline out
mouth.
there.
You gotta know.
Yo,
You
you're a
gotta
word
know
of mouth
me.
man.
That's
Okay.
baby. That's it.
Ooh, it's exclusive.
Exactly. I'm the wolf, right? You call me in and I clean it up.
Very good. We are going to move on for day 3 to yet more ransomware. It's like lambus bread, isn't it? From Lord of the Rings.
Oh, but
Oh,
it's
look,
not
there's
nearly as
more
sustaining.
lambus.
Maybe for the bad guys, right? It keeps them in
Yeah,
diamonds and furs, but it robs us of money.
it really do. So it really does. So we've got 3 lock bits. We've got
You have cyber AIDS at this point. Just like call it, you just need a
yeah,
lot, like a cocktail and
yeah,
some
horrible.
Magic Johnson blood to sustain you.
Anyway, so lock bit was like less so. This is a weird one because it was both the name of the group and the name of the
That's true. The group
malware that they
itself was
used,
called Lockpick.
because they would do it to order. So go to them and say, I want somebody ransomwared, and they say, all right, pay us an upfront fee for deposit purposes, and then we take a cut of anything you get. I think it was like 20% or something like that.
That's not bad.
They encrypt the target really, really fast. They actually they had organization of they were polished with
It was
how they
RAT,
ran
right?
their
Ransomware
operation.
as a service, or what was it called, right?
Yeah,
Like
RAS. Yeah, RAS.
RAS, yeah. Right.
So they would use what they went and did was they would go to other parties within the cyber underworld, people called initial access brokers, the kind of guys who do the phishing so that they can steal your passwords. Like, not everybody who goes around stealing the passwords has immediate use for them. Part of the reason that they fish you for them is so that they can sell them on to somebody else who will use them for a more nefarious purpose.
It's a free market, baby. All right. That's
Exactly.
just
It's a
capitalism.
black market of cybersecurity. They'd also use exposed remote desktop protocols, so basically where people can remote into a machine like at their workplace from their home. Anything around that was kind of sneak-inable vulnerabilities there, they would use those. VPN services as well, any exploits within those, and if they could sneak into that tunnel and exploit that for access. Speaking of VPNs, if you are interested in 30 to 40% off Proton VPN, I forget which one it is because they're constantly kind of like changing it, so I've not checked recently, but
Still hefty, either way.
we are partnered with Proton VPN. They are an open source VPN provider, and they also provide some cloud storage and email aliases and a password manager and authentication as well. But the good bit about them being open source is the privacy angle for how they operate. Also layered onto the fact that they are Swiss. Good bit of Swiss discretion there regarding their plan.
It's historical non-fuckery, like good or bad,
Yeah.
right? They
See
just
now,
stay.
so people's knowledge of Swiss discretion obviously does go back to a very specific point in time, round about 80 years ago. It goes back. I was reading about this. It goes back much further. It's actually about the 80s, and it's in Swiss law. It's actually a criminal offense to disclose clients' information without their consent. So you can go to jail for that in Switzerland, which is how it should be done. Anyway, if you're interested in a Proton subscription, we've got our affiliate code down here whilst Omar's being a terrible, an abhorrent joke teller.
Yeah. We got to cut that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting one on Lockbit. They really got egg on their face after they accidentally encrypted a hospital and publicly apologized for doing so and released the decryptor to them without asking for any ransom, as they should, because dude, it's a hospital.
Yeah.
However, they went straight back to business. I don't think they're in operation anymore. I think
they actually, there was physical arrests, I believe. I think they
I think the
busted
NSA and
up.
the DOJ took them down. a bit of Interpol in there as well. But having said that, they went and did that. I could give them some credit for going, oops, sorry, our bad. Here's your decryptor. Because lots of ransomware groups after that don't give a shit about encrypting hospitals. They'll just
Yeah,
do it.
that was the last high water mark of honor among thieves, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
when that little thing on the notes, I was like, that never happens anymore, right?
No,
Unfortunately, yeah. But no.
absolutely not. Moving on, our fourth day of Christmas, we've got 4 trick bots in addition to the stuff that I've now lost count of how many, however else we've got.
See you, Doc.
Yes, this was a Trojan, which, if you know your Greek mythology, was big wooden horse with troops hidden in it. It's not that, but Trojans masquerade as something legitimate and then get in your system and then reveal themselves to be Greek soldiers in a big wooden horse.
That's just the way you said it's a big wooden horse. I'm 10 years old. I'm 10 years old in between the years. What can I say?
Well, supposing we built a big wooden rabbit.
I mean, named it Jojo.
Well, no, but I hope you. No, wait, that's not the reference I was expecting.
Donnie Darko?
You silly king.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. Okay. Yeah.
It was,
Usually,
well, the line was actually supposing we built a big wooden badger and then he slaps him over the head.
Trojans
Trojans
usually keep these away. That's what also it's throwing me off, usually.
Trojans are normally protection.
Yeah, right? So now you're confusing a guy. I don't know what to do. Yeah, just trying to.
Never mind. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Trojan virus would evolve from some banking malware, but generally speaking, Trojans get into your system looking like something legitimate, and then they reveal themselves to be malicious AF and mess up your system, steal your data, yada yada yada. Has this still really a problem? Like, why have we not dealt with this yet? If it is a problem, go ahead, Emma.
I think the thing here is it's somewhat reduced of an issue, I feel, because a lot of modern day antivirus is really good at checking signatures and making sure that, hey, this type of wrapper is indicative of something else. Regular users are getting better at understanding like a .pdf, .exe or something. Wait a second, something's inside of something that doesn't sound quite right. So you have a little bit of protection there, right? It's been, but the concept of tucking something into something else to get that execution from the user, sadly, still alive and well. The one that I always remember now about TrickBot, it was that dwell time, right? The Trojan.
Yeah, it would sit there for months.
It would hang out, and that was why. And attribution, which is one of those needed components to figure out, okay, what's Typhoid Mary? What's the thing we need to excise? What's the indicators of compromise? The long dwell time can muddle a lot of that in the remediation or the kill chain because it's difficult.
It's also not helped by the fact that if you ever go digging into if you're on Windows at any rate, if you ever go digging into the kind of file system of what's in there, there's an awful lot that you don't know whether it should be there or not, whether you delete it, whether it's actually going to break something, or whether it's a largely inconsequential piece. Because I think, didn't Microsoft recently admit that there's 20-30% of their own operating systems that don't actually know what it does or why it's there?
Which is terrifying.
It is terrifying because it means that's an awful lot of the operating system that is there to be exploited, and the people who own it don't know that.
Yeah, that's not something you want to hear.
No,
from the builder of your IT backbone, essentially, in many instances, especially across the enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, on my own PC, I've had this thing a year. There's, you'll download software, legitimate software, and there'll be some drivers for it, and they'll be from third parties that aren't necessarily the people whose software that you downloaded, because that's how they did it. That's how they made it work.
Sure.
But it's not explicitly stated that that's the thing. So, I'll go into my add or remove programs. I'll scroll through and I'll be like, what the hell is this? And I will say, ChatGPT's been very useful for helping figure out what should be there, what shouldn't be there, what does this do? You can ask the question what does, I forget what it was now, but it's like, what does X thing, what does widget.exe do? What's it for? What programs does it normally help support? And it will go like, this, and this. And you can ask it if it's nothing on the list there. You're like, okay, how about these ones? And they'll go like, oh yeah, no, it helps with that. So yeah, it's neat. But yes, Trojans, under the guise of, oh well, we shouldn't be in there. It can be difficult to find them. We're gonna have to speed up a little bit because we're only on day 5. Day 5, we're now being given 5 crypto lockers, more ransomware. Yeah, this was one of the early ones. Encrypted user files, demanded payment, just simple stuff. Lack of backups, as we were talking about before. User permissions that are too broad that allow you to do too much, because whatever you can do, the ransomware can do better.
Once it hijacks the process, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
So don't fall afoul of this. Again, it's the same old ransomware advice. Don't ignore your patching. Take your backups. Make sure that you have tested those backups as well, because it's all well and good thinking that you've got backups until you need to use them, and suddenly, they're corrupted or they fail or something like that.
And don't pay. Yeah, usually it's not going to work out for you.
No. And know what you've got. Definitely know what you've got.
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking that I can hear something in the background. It's odd. Very strange. Number 6, we have I Love You.
Thank you.
I know, do love you, man. This was very early. This was like the proper early days of viruses and malware. It was basically just spam mail, effectively. This was a mailing worm. So what happened was people would receive it in their inbox. They would open it up, it would execute, and then it would have their inbox sent. And listeners are probably, especially like the sort of elder millennial, Gen X era, will know this because this made big news. And it just sends it to everybody else in your mailbox, and it just spreads itself like that. And this brought down mail servers because there was so much mail traffic going around, because every new open would fire this off again and again and again. And I would bet good money that there were some idiots who clicked this twice.
3 times, 4 times, 5 times.
A lady.
It's just it, and it's also, again, like much modern email software, right? And email clients and email protocols are designed to counter this sort of thing, but that's not to say that it's still not attempted. That's not to say that it's still not somewhat successful. So again, everything that's old is new again. And you're absolutely correct. This was OG infection, but it's still around.
Yeah. This was kind of like, this was a deliberately triggered sort of equivalent of those reply all email storms that you would get. Going back to my days in financial IT, there was, and this will sound absurd because there was only about like 150,000 people working in Lloyd's banking group at the time, but app development and management and quality assurance was something in the region of 70 to 80,000 people. It's because it was like 4 different consulting organizations working on it as well. Like it was all like offshore to India and stuff. And somebody accidentally copied in. And this is what you really shouldn't be having distribution lists for the entire organization if you are in the tens of thousands large. Somebody copied in the entirety of ADMQA and set off a reply all email storm that just like people's inboxes were
tattooed,
hacked.
Yeah.
And nobody could stop it because every new reply all was just like, bang, everybody gets it again. Bang, and people then say like, stop saying reply all and all
while
that.
replying all.
While replying all. Well, I mean, that's the one that you kind of, because if you don't do reply all, and if you don't send reply all and stop saying reply all, then nobody will get it. So that's a tricky one. But just people going like, oh, can you take me off this list? Reply all. You're an idiot. Absolute idiot. So if you've got an appreciable sized business, say like you're in the few thousands or something like that, you want to make sure you want to go into your email settings. Presumably it's going to be some form of Outlook or Exchange stuff. You want to make sure that whoever's running your IT has that capability to stop those email storms if they ever do happen. And if it is one of those extra things that Microsoft says, yo, pay us if you want it, you might want to consider it, because if it does happen, it's going to be a real pain. Okay. So actually, like, let's not move on quite yet. This I love you thing, this is just abused curiosity, right? Because people were like, oh, what's this?
Sure.
Right? So there's your social engineering and your human education angle. But this obviously still works because, or this would still work
This,
because,
I
or
mean,
in
and
systems not protected against email storms, like the same tactic still works on people, because if you can keep their curiosity.
yeah, the clicking still drives, that sort of activity. If you can elicit that reaction out of someone, it's monetizable on social platforms, period. So folks are being trained to do so for cool stuff or racy stuff or, gossip or whatever. And then if you can start embedding malware into those at the other end of those clicks, you're done. So yeah,
Yeah.
this still has its like a long tail sort of effect.
Yeah. And this
Yeah.
is something that I think it was something Matt Johansson posted from the cybersecurity subreddit, which was basically somebody asking about, like, how much is just pure exploit.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of responses in there going like, it's quite rare that something is just pure
Hmm.
Hollywood, a green coat on a black screen, oh, I'm into the server and stuff like that. There's a lot of them on there basically saying the industry got really quite good at patching a lot of the pure vulnerabilities. Most of them now do require some form of social engineering somewhere along the way. But that, if you are strategic about it, is not hard to do, because
Sure.
there's a big enough pool of people with the right kind of access. You'll find someone, and with the right bait. Okay, Lissa is number 7. So these are the ones that you've got absolutely the most of. We're giving you, over the course of the 12 days, you're going to receive, I think, 40 something of each of these. They're reasonably, these days, very low impact. They're not going to cause lasting damage. So this is what you're going to get most of. This is the easiest bit of stage 6 and 7. Melissa virus is a macro malware hidden within Word documents that is spread via Outlook. Again, one click of this could trigger an internal email storm that locks up your mail servers for potentially days or weeks on end. What's the real problem here? First words I said there, macro malware.
Macro malware, and like you say, it's easy to mitigate at this point, although it does necessitate a bit of that education angle. And what I mean by that is you can easily just say, don't enable macros on your Windows suite, right? So you don't let stuff operate in the background or, little.
But then what do we do where the whole world's financial system runs on Excel spreadsheets and fancy macros?
I guess you're just going to have to go to Google Sheets and Gemini. I don't know what to tell you, but it's,
You should use AI spreadsheets that clearly are not fit for purpose.
sure,
Yeah.
of course, 100%. But like using, it's continuing the not fit for purpose circle of life at this stage, right? From what you just said to that. But at the other, like you said, the education piece still rears its ugly head, because folks, you and I have both been privy to this watching our internal inbox. People love their macros, and if you take those away, they'll find you in the parking lot and want to talk about it. So it's you have to, the education piece and showing the juice isn't worth the squeeze. There's other ways to do this. Sometimes Microsoft itself figures out that, like, we want to, like, embed the macros as additional functions.
Functionality, yes.
A lot of that ribbon has started out as macros, right? And then it became, so there's a little bit of that, but yeah, this was a while. I remember this one, man. I remember all these, but like this one for some reason, sticks out, I think, because of just like how like simple kind of it was, but how vexing it became, because as you said, at the time, systems weren't ready to handle stuff like this. We've learned lessons somewhat, but yeah.
And there's some stuff that's just a pain to get to. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's one slightly later down that we talk about in that regard. I think the other thing with Melissa, or the lesson from Melissa is with it being a macro thing, is you gotta have those honest and open conversations within your business as to what's the use or what's the utility of macros, and does it give you enough benefit that you would accept their usage,
The
you accept
risk.
the risk that if anybody
Yeah.
did send you macro based malware. And I know, like, I've worked at banks where the macros are widely in use, but there's a lot of stuff on the boundary that's, you can't necessarily send in or out, or they do scan it quite heavily to see what's going on.
So then
There's
it's,
also that,
again, it's the
turn it
balance.
off by default as well, so they can't
Yeah.
automatically execute when the file
But
is
even the
open.
scanning that you mentioned, right? Like, it's still back on that continuum of what's going to be expeditious versus
Mhm.
what's going to be safe. Because yes, you can allow this to happen because people love their macros, as stated. But then the scanning's going to take a little bit. You do that at scale, it's going to slow down your email, your intra-company email. So you have to think, okay, which one? So you'll have users up in arms about that. Goes back to the conversations you mentioned, yeah?
Definitely. Okay, day 8. Now we're now getting back into the stuff that you want least, that you want much less. Mirai, this is a malware that turned insecure Internet of Things devices into what's called a botnet. So effectively a very, very large network of, I guess you could say, like drone style,
Yep.
like drone style
Mm-hmm.
minions to attack the targets that you have, specifically with something called distributed denial of service, which at its most basic is asking somebody so many questions that they have a mental breakdown.
I always liken it to, remember Dumb and Dumber? You ever want to hear the dumbest or the worst sound in the world? And he just like yells at him for like a really long, extended period of time, and he drives the dude nuts. That's anytime I think of DDoS, all I think of, you want to hear the worst sound in the world? And then he just like, yeah. And then they kill him with spices, right?
I'm going to confess something right now.
Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about, you motherfucker.
Never seen it all the way through.
That's terrible. That's up there with my wife saying she hasn't seen like Heath Ledger as the Joker. Like, she's like, I never seen that movie. I'm like, yeah, that's divorce. I'm gonna call the Pope right now.
Dreadful.
I think that's grounds for an annulment.
So now, moving on. So Mirai, or anything that targets Internet of Things, and when we say Internet of Things, we're talking about things like your doorbells, your fridges, your pet cameras, anything that's not a computer or not a phone, not an iPad, that is connected to your network. And that's stuff that can be, security vulnerabilities can be exploited in there in order to get into your network, steal data from you, but also for those devices to be used maliciously. It's particularly a problem in kind of like healthcare, because a lot of healthcare tech is connected but not smart in the traditional sense. They're all sort of like slightly dumb machines.
Mhm.
And the big problem with that is people don't consider those connected devices computers, so they won't necessarily declare that that's something that they've got and that they connected to the network, because if it doesn't have a keyboard and a screen, they don't consider it to be. This is my view, at least. Like, this is what I've
Yeah.
seen. Like, if it doesn't have a keyboard or a screen, it ain't a computer. It's like, no, no, no. There is definitely enough software and firmware in there, when abused, to cause real problems if it is connected to a network.
And at scale, like this, you said drones, and it's the image that I always get when I think of botnets are, and I'm gonna really feel sad that I don't remember what they were called, but remember in the Matrix when it was those, those sweeper
Oh,
machines?
Sentinels, squiddies.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so like just swarms of those things roving the interwebs, essentially, like
Mm-hmm.
slave to malicious actors that, as you said, I like how you set these up, because the economics that you talked about earlier, where there's different stages of this, there's and the black market has people specialized. There's folks that specialize in this and have botnets on call to point at
Yep.
whatever the heck you want to point it at if you pay enough coin. And that's what it is. It's just swarms of devices that, as you said, people forgot, people don't think about, but at scale, when focused, it's sort of like the, You know, not that I ever did this, but like when you burn an ant and you use the lens to focus the rays of the sun, it's just you use
Not saying
that.
I've done that.
But yeah, if you did, like, I gotta like that's a red flag. It's just one of those like being mean to animals at any stage of your life. Okay, I can't
It's
fuck
a
with it.
precursor to being much meaner to people later in life.
Absolutely right, and and you're so yeah, absolutely. But it's
Something got
that.
cut.
But no, I absolutely never did. I not like I allegedly never. No, for real.
Yeah, but it's
That's
like
just
when you
fuck.
say you know when. I was like, no, I don't. I've never done that.
No, I mean I would have done it to roaches. I'm not gonna. I'm not above that, right? I was poor and they skeeved me out, but like never
So
did it to ants. But and we were so poor we couldn't afford magnifying glasses. But it's just, but it's the concentration of small resources into one grand resource that you can point at something and completely knock it offline. This
exactly.
sort of
And
attack is the outages that we got recently. No,
Cloudflare, AWS, all
boom,
of this crap. I saw something last night, I think, where now people are, so you can, there's a site that you can go to that will template out a Cloudflare outage page for you to display when you have a problem, but you make it look like Cloudflare is the issue. This is friggin'
Christ,
genius, actually.
that is brilliant. I mean, but also peak, like that's late stage capitalism. That's right there in a nutshell. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
you're making Christ.
It's like it's their fault.
That's beautiful though.
See
I
now,
love it.
and now the utility for something like Mirai is with the DDoS attack, it's a very, very loud attack.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do the outages, you pointed at something very, very large, and if you hit the right spot, all of that goes down, and everything that relies on it also goes down as well. And everybody's going, yo, where's my Netflix? Where's my, I can't think of anything else. Where's
Hulu, Paramount,
where's all my streaming services? Yeah,
right?
exactly.
How can I track my food? Right, that hit me. Like
Where's
my food tracker was down. Yeah, I was pissed.
where's my Uber? Where's my DoorDash? Etc. Etc. Etc.
Deliveroo.
Yep. And everybody gets very, very angry that they've lost the privileges of all of these conveniences, and then it causes a big shitstorm. And so all the IT people over here fixing this, and while they're doing that,
They're not
you
over
sneak
there.
in the back door.
100%.
It's a big old distraction technique.
Misdirect. It's causing a fire and then robbing a bank next door.
Absolutely, absolutely. Moving on, ninth day of Christmas. So we have now nine Zeuses, not the horny god of lightning. This was a bank, again, another Trojan that stole credentials and enabled account fraud at scale.
Kronos was like, 1 is enough. I don't need 9. That shit's tough.
So again, we're talking Trojans getting in under the guise of being something trusted and then actually not, stealing the stuff that they want and making off into the sunset. Typically, actually, what ended up doing, what a lot of Trojans do, is they install a remote access tool. So said person who's launched it can come in, poke around in your machine whilst it's like asleep or something like that, and then steal all the information that they want, ride off, go contact your bank, drain the accounts, and you are now in the poorhouse.
That's as pervy as it sounds, by the way, listeners. All right, poking around while you're asleep. It's not cool online either.
Something else got cut.
Not at all. Hey, you're
You got to
setting them
remember.
up.
You got to remember all of this. Something got cut is only in there as an insurance policy, just in case I do want to cut it.
That's true. That's it, baby.
Some of this,
That's all.
all of this might stay in.
We're all 18.
Okay, rounding it again. As far as the Zoo stuff, because it's anything that's going to steal things like your passwords, the credentials, any sensitive information. You want those extra levels of security on accounts, things like passkeys, things like multi-factor authentication, things that can't necessarily be stolen from your computer, because traditionally they get stored on your phone. And phone operating systems are somewhat different from most mainstream computers. A little bit harder to exfiltrate data there. Not that it can't happen. Pegasus spyware is a nasty, nasty little bitch.
There's no interaction code too. That's
wish
what
the
sucks.
Israelis, yeah, I know.
Yeah, NSO was Pegasus, right? Yeah, and there was
Yep, absolutely, and that's
still going strong. It got incorporated into an American entity, but they're still just doing the same shit and selling it to the same people. So
Yeah.
capitalism, baby.
Yes, and I think the worrying thing, because I always said about Pegasus as well, because people got really, really worried about Pegasus, and I went, look, honestly, if you're not like a foreign dignitary or a CEO or something like that, you really don't need
Or
journalist.
journalists.
I was going to say journalists poking around in the business of people who don't want you poking around in it. They're kind of it's not really that big of a deal. You're probably not going to get it.
Just don't go
I am a
poking.
little bit more concerned as time goes on because this
Mm.
stuff could be deployed somewhat more at scale, and then
Oh, it is.
we are all
And it's being
screwed.
sold to entities like governments. That's what sucks. That I think that don't want to go too crazy in it, but like the case study in Greece, where the president was pointing it at the prime minister or vice versa. Like parts of the cabinet
God,
were pointing it at other parts of the cabinet just because it just
Jesus.
yeah, and like what's happening in India, right? With they want to install like tracker software on any phone made there, but it got struck down. Like this at scale, like that, the whole flock camera thing. It's getting weirder. You're right, Robin. You're absolutely correct.
Number 10, pretty nasty. Emotet. This is still going around as well. This is one of the ones that you just can't kind of get rid of. I think in an earlier iteration of this as well, I did have configure was in there, or as confucker as it would be more
Yeah.
appropriately named, because that shit you cannot get rid of. It keeps
No,
cropping up time and again. Our friend Andy will attest to that.
it's
But
viral.
yes, Emotet, nice malware delivery platform, very much geared towards banking sector, stealing of banking information. Got it here. It was first step kind of towards ransomware, because it is, as it says in our notes, it is more of a platform. There's lots of stuff that comes off Emotet, lots of different variations of it, which I think is probably one of the reasons it's so hard to eradicate, is there's so many different iterations of that. How do we deal with that? Well, apparently it needs your email app to function. So, or your email app to be open in order for it to function. So really it's all about filtering, isolating it fast. You got to remember that any inbox could be compromised by this. So that's one of those things where, especially larger organizations, if they have filters that say, flag up which emails have come from outside of the organization, that's not a hard and fast flag saying this could be dangerous. It's a good indicator, but it also doesn't mean that all of the stuff that flies around internally that isn't labeled external is safe by default.
No.
Nasty stuff can always get in your ecosystem and then abuse that trust that exists between employees.
And the impact there can be outsized because of that trust that's almost implicit, right? That's almost assumed and it's almost foundational, which is why out of all the buzzy buzzwords that we've heard in the last 5 years, zero trust is always top of mind, because I love the concept. I love the not having that foundational trust even between intra organizational assets. So yeah, but this one's
That's fundamentally one of those things. As a mindset, you spoke earlier about when everything is connected to everything else and constantly syncing on a continuous basis to keep things up to date. How do you deal with that problem that something might potentially be not what it says it is? That zero trust bit. Never trust it. Never that you typically have reason to trust. Never trust it explicitly, and always keep verifying that the person that they say that they are is the person that they say they are.
You got to ask him to make fun of the great leader of North Korea every 5 minutes. Just ask him. Just ask him.
Okay, moving on. We are right at the end of our list, and it's convenient because that means we're about on time despite a drawn-out start. This one sounds a bit Italian, Conti. They were a ransomware operation. Again, a little bit like Lockbit. They're more of an organization than an actual ransomware, but the ransomware was named for them. We are not going to drop too deep into Conti as one, because basically all the same advice as with Lockbit, as with NotPetya, as with WannaCry applies here as well.
Their
Be
rivalries with
prepared.
Lazio are just incredible, right? Like that's Serie A. of ransomware. Yeah.
Oh, I did recently get the new FIFA, and I'm starting to learn how wildly ambitious Cesc Fabregas is being with Como, because they've got some. If you're going to trust the player ratings, they've got some good players.
There you go. There you go. Making moves.
Interesting as well, because it's only like a small town within the lakes, and it's
Oh,
funny that
sure.
they're
Yeah,
getting
it's
now
not.
like a very exciting football team.
Yeah, I think it's the publicity that it gets from the stars, like hanging out there. That probably is why.
Interesting one on Conti was the internet will have you believe that the guys who launched ransomware, it's all exciting and shady and criminal and Ferraris and cash and women and drugs and yada yada. After Conti's internal chat logs ended up getting leaked on
Yeah,
the web, my God, did that come across as real fucking boring.
bunch of
It was
nerds, just a bunch of nerds, and like as we all knew in the field, but yeah, man, like it ain't all Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry, right? It's just yeah.
Yeah, absolutely not. And we finish off our 12 days of Christmas. At this point, you have been inundated in just under 2 weeks with 352 pieces of malware that you've been having to
Terminal. Yeah.
deal with, learn about, clean up every single day. You've had not Petya 11 times at this point. You're about to
That's
get
a
it for
lot.
a 12th and final time from your true love. I don't think they are your true love. They would
Divorce.
never do this to you.
Yeah, got it.
We finish up with 12 iterations of Ryuk. Once again, ransomware, because it wouldn't be our list if it wasn't ransomware. Said at the beginning of the show, there's a good reason why this list is riddled with ransomware, because it works.
Yep.
It's so prevalent.
Profitable. Yeah, absolutely.
And profitable. They primarily targeted large organizations after being very, very patient and very considered in their approaches and who they were going to attack. They would go for really, really privileged access to get into the deepest bits of the target systems. They'd sit there, they'd do the very traditional tactical thing of lurk for 90 to 180 days before actually launching what they got, because by that point they familiarized themselves with the system and worked out how to cause absolute maximum chaos. And this is why you should keep an eye on which identities in your ecosystem, Omar,
are human and not human, are privileged and not privileged.
I was going to say your dormant ones, which
That's
technically
true.
you shouldn't have.
That's the bit here with the quiet persistence is, and I just want to shout out how your voice tone changed when you were like, very quiet in the deeper bits. I felt like I was, being read a 50 Shades of Grey novel. Like I was taken away
Oh, not what I was going
for a little bit. But hey, man, I mean, just subconsciously, God bless you.
If that's the excitement you get from malware, then more power to you.
I'm in the right business or the wrong business. It's one of the two, right? It's only, but the
I don't want to
thing
be
here,
involved either way.
that's true. That's not the consulting we offer.
That's for you and your wife.
That's it. Right. Exactly. But it's, you have, like you said, the very loud botnet DDoS type attacks, and then you have this, which it'll just dwell and stay there, and like it's I picture it as the difference between a tiger that jumps on you, kills you, swats you, and like an anaconda that just wraps itself around you and slowly squeezes the life out of you. It's going to stay there. It's going to keep putting the squeeze on you, and then you're just going to eventually fall asleep and be poor when you wake up.
Both lovely images. Wonderful.
But
Do you know what else we had? Do you know what else we had in an earlier iteration of this that I didn't notice had actually dropped out? Good old Stuxnet.
Oh, the OG, one of the OGs. A nice tie into one of those gray market sets of exploits that nation states sit on in order to weaponize against other nation states, as you mentioned with a couple of the pieces here.
Yeah. like when you're playing kind of a bit of an adversarial card game or something like that, and you leave. But actually, with like something like Uno, when you've got your reverse or pick up
Yep.
two cards, and you kind of leave them to the end, or leave them for when you strategically need the most to screw up the person who's next to you, or get yourself out of a pick up two problem as well. But yes,
Or catch a
that,
divorce if you hit your spouse with it when they're about to win. Like, yeah, that's not a good move.
yeah. See, I feel like I'm generally on the receiving end of that. My wife's ruthless at games. She's
That's
very, very competitive.
I mean, it's always you gotta have the magnanimous heart, brother. All right, there's winning and then there's winning. So.
Yeah. See, I get vindictive about it, but I'm just like actually not that good. So I do gun for. I will retaliate, but I'm not sneaky enough with my retaliation.
You try, but she's just like.
I tend to get just ever so slightly outmaneuvered. Like I get so close, and then it's like, oh, well, that didn't work. Or somebody does something else, and it's like somebody does something that inadvertently screws up my whole plan. And I'm like, oh, thank you for that. And they go, oh, I didn't even know. Anyway, if you want to know more about Stuxnet, we do actually have an episode on that.
Yes, we do.
That is, well, it'll be linked sort of right here or whichever way the screen is done, somewhere around. Yeah, and that was a grand episode. That's actually probably, I think, one of the more popular ones. I think it's because anytime something goes on with like Israel and Iran, like people search for the stuff, it pops up in their
look
feed.
At the classics, right? Which is Stuxnet.
I don't even think they want to look at the classics. I think they want to know what. No, I think they don't want to know what's going on with the current situation and accidentally stumble upon it. And
I'll take it.
yeah,
I like bro.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Hey, that is our show for today. We'll be back in a week or so with the 12 advanced persistent threats of Christmas, which in non-cyber people speak is basically the nation-state affiliated gangs who deploy this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There are many of them. We will only be going through 12. We will try and keep track of all of their various different names, because part of the problem is everybody names it a different thing, and then it gets real fucking confusing, and nobody knows who's doing what to whom. But yes,
it's like college.
Right, on that note, see you again in a week or so.
Adios.
Stay safe. You with the jokes today.